Pleased to present to our members the audited financial statements for the year ended 31st of December 2021. The statements have been audited by Deloitte and were approved by the Epilepsy Ireland Board in May. The accounts are on our website along with a short, plain English summary, and of course all members have been provided with a copy in advance of this evening's meeting. The accounts are prepared in accordance with the statement of recommended practice for charities known as SORP, which is the best accounting standard in financial reporting for charities. Overall, Epilepsy Ireland reported a deficit of €25,198 in 2021. In the circumstances that we have been operating in since early 2020, this was a satisfactory outcome. This compared to a surplus of €138,771 the previous year, which was mainly as a result of a significant grant of €258,000 received from the Department of Rural and Community Development under the COVID-19 Stability Fund for Charities. As required by the SORP, the full grant was recognised in 2020, though almost 70,000 of it was used in 2021. Total income fell by 430,000 from 1.96 million in 2020 to 1.53 million in 2021, partly because of the stability grant and also because in 2020 a non-cash donation of media services of 249,000 was received and included as income in accordance with the SORP. When adjusted for these one-off events, our income was relatively similar to the previous year. However, income is still well below the 1.7 million that we might expect in a normal non-pandemic year. COVID-19 has a major impact on most forms of traditional fundraising, including community fundraising that Epilepsy Ireland has historically relied on. In 2020, fundraising fell by 50% to just under 300,000. And while it increased in 2021 to 425,000, over 100,000 of this was due to a legacy donation received during the year. Thankfully, the fundraising environment has improved somewhat in 2022, and alongside a series of changes to how we conduct our fundraising activities, we are hopeful that fundraising income will gradually return to pre-COVID levels over the next few years. The most important source of income remains HSE Section 39 service level agreements, which total 749,000 in 2021. This represents almost half of all our income, and it goes without saying that the organisation is highly dependent on this funding. These grants are restricted for the provision of our support and information services, and like other Section 39 organisations, the amounts have remained static for over a decade. In that time, the cost of providing our services has increased substantially, and in recent years, funds from other sources have had to be used to meet the HSE funding shortfalls. Great efforts have been made by the management team to minimise this deficit, and in 2021 it was only 35,000, well below the 155,000 deficit 5 years previously. This reduction in deficit was achieved without any reduction in services. There is, however, a limit to what can be done, and the problem is likely to become more significant in the coming years due to the rising inflation and its impact on operating costs. It is becoming more critical that the HSE addresses these challenges for Section 39 organisations like Epilepsy Ireland, and although the dialogue forum with voluntary organisations set up in 2019 has offered some hope of this, progress has been very slow to date in reviewing funding arrangements. Income generating services, including training services, accounted for 157,000 in 2021. This represents a 63% increase from 2020, highlighting returning demand as well as the team's efforts to reorganise the service to adjust to the changed environment. Non-HSE grants of 186,000 include Mayo Sligo Leitrim Education Training Board, fund the Training for Success programme and the support scheme for national organisations. I am delighted to report that this support has been confirmed for a further 3 years. Investment and other income was 14,000 in 2021. You can find more information and breakdown on our income in notes 4 to 8 of the financial statements. Total expenditure in 2021 was 1.56 million, down from 1.82 million in 2020. One of the main reasons for this relates to 249,000 non-cash donation, which was also expended in 2020. Adjusting for this, our expenditure actually was similar year on year. Payroll increased by 95,000 in 2021. It had previously fallen by over 150,000 in 2020 due to COVID-19 measures, such as unfilled vacancies and temporary reductions in management salaries. With these measures lifted in 2021, payroll costs increased accordingly. Staff costs continue to be our biggest single area of expenditure due to the nature of the work providing direct support services to people with epilepsy, their families and care providers. On average, we had 25 employees in 2021, which includes 17 in-service delivery and training. The other 8 staff are employed in fundraising, finance and administration. The average salary paid was just over 35,000 or 43,000 per whole-time equivalent. No additional payments or bonuses of any kind are paid to Epilepsy Ireland employees apart from employer pension fund contributions. There are more details of employees in note 12 of the financial statements included in our disclosure of salaries greater than 60,000. Under SORP, expenditure is reported in terms of chargeable activities and raising funds. In 2021, 86% of our total expenditure relates to charitable activities. This is further broken down as follows. Support services, 43%. Training and education services, 21%. Awareness rating, 10%. Advocacy, 8%. And epilepsy research, 4%. The other 14% relates to fundraising costs. The biggest change was our expenditure on awareness raising, which was significantly higher in 2020 due to the non-cash donation and immediate services received. Looking to the future, with 5 exciting new epilepsy research projects coming on stream this year, we can expect our expenditure on research to significantly increase in the coming years. In recent years, particularly, the Finance and Audit Subcommittee and the boards have closely monitored their expenditure against budgets, and we have done very well overall in keeping our cost base down through our procurement practices, by seeking the best possible value, and by eliminating as much non-essential expenditure as possible. However, we can expect greater challenges given the current inflationary pressures we are experiencing in 2022. You can find more detail on expenditure for 2021 in notes 9 to 12 of the statements, and also on the use of funds page on our website. In terms of the balance sheet, there was no significant change to our cash at hand, which remains at 1.44 million. Restricted funds held at the year end fell from 200,000 to 104,000, with the biggest changes being the planned utilisation of grants such as the Stability Fund, Sláinte Care and the Community Foundation. In addition, 37,000 in funds raised by the young family who sadly lost their daughter Louise to SUDEP in 2021 have been restricted in agreement with the family for an upcoming project to distribute and test seizure detention devices. Our operational reserve increased to 930,000, which represents about 7 months operating costs and is in line with our policy on reserves. There was no change this year to board designated reserves. Overall, the board is satisfied that the charity has a strong balance sheet, and given the current uncertainties, this remains of vital importance to our future financial health. The board and Finance and Audit Subcommittee will continue to monitor our financial position and risks. With grants such as those from Sláinte Care and the COVID-19 Stability Fund now ended, and with fundraising still operating below pre-pandemic levels, a significant deficit is forecast for 2022. While it is possible to absorb deficits in the short term, a big challenge exists to ensure future financial sustainability of the organisation and to protect our services and our work. Our fundraising activities will need to continue to adapt, and it is vital that we secure more appropriate funding through our HSE SLAs. As the Chair has mentioned, we have just completed development of a new 5-year strategic plan, which has identified additional services and activities we would like to provide, but we need additional finance from either the HSE or fundraising to be able to do so. Therefore, I would encourage all our members to get involved in our fundraising efforts if you are in a position to do so. Rose Week is just around the corner in October, as well as our annual members raffle. There are many ways to get involved, so please check out the fundraising section on our website to find out more. Thank you to all our donors and volunteers who support us in one way or another in 2021. Funding raising represents 1 in every 3 euros in income, and without all the efforts made by hundreds of supporters every year, we simply would not be able to keep up with the work that we do. Thank you also to our auditors, Deloitte, whose diligence over many years has provided great reassurance to our board, members, funders, and donors. I also want to thank the new Finance and Audit Subcommittee Chair, Shane O'Brien, and all the volunteer members of the committee for their ongoing advice and oversight. And I want to put on record our best wishes to Michael Sheehy, who stepped down as chair of the subcommittee this year after many years of outstanding service to the charity. Finally, thank you to our management team for guiding the organisation through the difficult year that was 2021. With that, I present the 2021 financial statements to the AGM and invite any questions.